Why is it you, Chris? It's him. It's his life. Why is it, again, I keep hearing you in the conversation.
Because without me, you can't make the money.
Will your son ever be champion?
As long as he thinks it's about the belts he has around his waist, no, he'll never be a champion. It's only about how people feel about you.
I can live with my life knowing that, all right, yeah, I messed up, so I've got to pay the price. But I can't live with they made the wrong decision and now I'm paying.
Chris Eubank Sr. has made it clear that he will be fully in his son's corner ahead of the highly anticipated showdown between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. The legendary boxer, known for his iconic presence both in and out of the ring recently, spoke out, asserting his unwavering support for his son despite the dramatic nature of the matchup. With a mix of fatherly pride and sharp commentary, Eubank Sr. hinted at the intensity of the fight and the personal stakes involved, leaving fans to wonder how much more is at play beneath the surface. He will be in his corner, but the weight of those words seems to carry more than just familial loyalty, especially when considering the history between the two fighters. If you liked this video, please subscribe, punch Vista, and click the bell icon for more latest and interesting videos.
My father actually, he was the opposite in terms of supporting or, pushing me towards boxing. He banned me from going to boxing gyms for a couple of years. He didn't think I'd be tough enough. I was begging him all the time, let me go to the gym, let me go and spar, let me go and train. And he would just tell me, no, you're not going. Stick with your athletics, stick with your rugby, stick with your football, stick with your studies. That was a big thing for him, because he didn't have that education growing up. Boxing is going to be too tough. It's too hard. I've been there, I've done it. I know what you're going to have to go through to make something of yourself in this sport. And, it's too tough. Where you are, you're in a mansion, you go to private school, you've got everything you need and want here. Why do you need to go down to the gym and get your ass kicked every day? You don't need to do that. But it took years of me nagging and begging, let me do it. Finally, he gave in.
The rivalry between Chris Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn remains one of the most iconic in British boxing history. Their first clash in November 1990 was a high-stakes showdown that captivated fans with its intensity and drama. At the time, both men were in their prime. Eubank Sr., an undefeated, confident technician, and Nigel Benn, a ferocious puncher with a relentless style. The bout lived up to expectations, with Eubank weathering Benn's early aggression to stop him in the 9th round, seizing the WBO middleweight title.
Your dad intervened with the egg throwing and put his arm, I think, on your throat. And at the second press conference, you basically threatened Nigel Benn. Said if he did that again, you deal with him. And
it wasn't a threat, it was a promise.
Oh, it's not a promise, is it?
You can't touch
scumbag.
You can't.
What we did.
You can throw an egg in his face and his father can't.
No,
me and him are fighting.
You're just upset.
Me and you are fighting.
Your dad can't stand you and my dad has my back. You are, that's all that
I'm not
was.
upset.
My dad put
me and you are fighting. Whatever happens between us,
my dad would put his arms around you again. What are you going to do about it?
No one else.
What are you going to do about it? Tell me.
No one else can touch me.
Tell me.
If they do, there'll be consequences.
Oh, consequences to what?
If anyone else
slap you right now,
if anyone else touches me,
what if I was to slap you right now? What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, go on, go ahead.
Yeah, talk about my dad.
I'm not talking about your dad.
No.
But I told him.
But
I told him.
Get off me, please.
My old man would never touch you, so your old man's never going to touch me.
I would never slap you.
You would never slap me.
Yeah, no, I would slap you.
You put your hands on me twice since my last fight.
When?
You pushed me.
Push, a little push.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You put your hands on me.
Little push and stuff.
You put your hands on me.
Stop moaning about it. A little push and shove. Stop moaning about it. Talk about my dad.
You put your hands on me, I put my hands on you.
I'll never disrespect your dad.
Yes, you would. You disrespected him before.
What, the fact that he don't like you? It's a matter of fact.
Okay, well, it's disrespect.
That's a matter of fact. How's that disrespect?
You can't give it and not take it.
You fucked up by talking about my dad. You done fucked up talking about my dad.
You fucked up by taking this fight.
Yeah.
That's right.
Their rematch in October 1993 was equally dramatic, but ended in a split draw, leaving both men unsatisfied and the public clamoring for a trilogy that never came. Despite their contrasting personalities and fighting styles, the rivalry was underlined by deep mutual respect. Eubank's flair and psychological tactics clashed perfectly with Benn's raw aggression and emotional intensity, creating a compelling narrative that transcended the ring. Now, decades later, their sons step into the spotlight, continuing a family legacy defined by pride, grit, and unfinished business. The renewed rivalry carries the weight of history, making their matchup more than just a fight. It will be a generational clash fueled by legacy, identity, and redemption.
Oh, mate, that'd be legendary. You know, that'd be legendary. I'd love that.
We know that your dad has had two very, very famous fights in the 90s with Chris Sr. You're, 3 or 4 weight divisions away from Chris Eubank Jr. at the moment, but you are 19 and you will continue to grow and you will continue to put weight on. What chance of you fighting Chris Eubank Jr. at some point in the future?
Oh, mate, that'd be legendary. You know, that'd be legendary. I'd love that. You could, but there's so many obstacles I got to get first before we can even consider that.
Yeah.
So far, it's just a fantasy for the British public. But who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
However, Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn come from different weight classes, making their upcoming showdown all the more intriguing. Eubank Jr., boasting a record of 32 wins and just 2 losses, has fought across the middleweight and super middleweight divisions. His experience in these heavier classes gives him an edge in terms of size, durability, and strength. Over the years, he has faced top-level competition and built a reputation for being technically sharp, athletically gifted, and mentally tough in the ring. On the other hand, Conor Benn has carved out an impressive path in the welterweight division, where he remains undefeated with 21 wins. Known for his explosive power and aggressive fighting style, Benn has demonstrated rapid development in recent years, turning from a raw prospect into a dangerous contender. However, he has never competed above 147 pounds professionally, making this jump to a 156 lb catchweight uncharted territory for him. To make this unique bout possible, both fighters had to compromise. Eubank Jr. must cut down from his usual fighting weight, which could potentially drain his strength and endurance. Conversely, Benn has to bulk up while maintaining his speed and power, an equally challenging task, the catchweight of 156 lb, just stone pound. Below junior middleweight is a carefully negotiated middle ground, but it comes with risks for both.
But if Chris is even 70% of what he was, he's far too big for Benn. If he is really gone and shot, then yeah, he has a very good chance because, he's the guy that can eat comfortably. He doesn't have to weigh himself down to make weight. I look at it the same as I look at the, obviously the Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia fight. A lot of people just don't understand. One guy planned not to make weight and one guy was actually working hard to make the weight. It's not a fair fight. And that's without even talking about the accusations about with the PEDs.
Chris Eubank Sr. has been outspoken in his criticism of the fight, voicing serious concerns about its structure and the potential health risks it poses for his son. His main issue lies with the contracted catchweight of 157 lbs, which requires Chris Eubank Jr. to drop below his usual middleweight limit by 3 lb, a move he believes could have dangerous consequences. Eubank has repeatedly warned about the physical toll such a weight cut can take, pointing to the risks of severe dehydration and the strain it puts on the body. These factors, Hirgs, could significantly impair a fighter's performance and endanger their long-term well-being. He has not held back in his condemnation of the bout's promoters, accusing them of placing profits above safety. In a blunt and emotional interview, he declared, "You tried to murder my boys. I'm coming for you," underscoring the depth of his concern. According to Eubank Sr., the fight's terms are not only unfair but also unethical. He has gone as far as to claim that the bout breaks the rules and has strongly implied that it should not move forward unless changes are made. His warnings reflect a deep paternal instinct and a firm belief that no fight is worth jeopardizing a fighter's health.
Or 8 pounds? You better watch out, dreadlocks. You better watch out, because we have come for you. Sorry. It's my mother's tongue again. It comes through. You'd better watch out, because we're not playing. We're real, and we are a terror. And the procedure will be parliamentary. Rastafari.
Eubank fully acknowledges the serious threat Conor Benn presents in the ring, especially when it comes to facing his own son. He isn't underestimating Conor in any way. On the contrary, he's acutely aware of the danger Conor brings. Even if some argue that Benn may not possess the same level of power he once had. Importantly, Eubank Sr.'s criticism isn't directed at his son, it's aimed at the circumstances surrounding the fight. His concern stems from a father's natural instinct to protect his child. With years of experience in the sport, Eubank Sr. understands the harsh realities and potential consequences better than most. He fears that this bout could do more harm than good, and his priority is making sure his son doesn't step into a situation that could jeopardize his health or future. Eubank has expressed that he would rather the fight not happen, not because he lacks faith in his son's skill or toughness, but because he knows just how punishing and unforgiving boxing can be. Despite his deep respect for the sport and pride in his son's career, his ultimate hope is to see Eubank Jr. succeed, without having to risk everything in a potentially dangerous matchup.
Let Conor go and have his illustrious career here in the United Kingdom and then in the United States, because he beats them all. That's how fantastic I think he is. I've always backed you, Conor. I've always backed you. Okay? You're sensible. If it's true that you've said things about me which are not complimentary, I don't mind that. I'm looking at the people that you're around. Here it is. You know the spirit world. That's how I know you're an honest man. The people around you are part of a gang. It's a team thing. You're the mark. Okay? The only person who's going to look out for you is you, supposed to be your dad, and people like me. You can trust me. Yeah, you've seen me get up in a fight I can't win and walk back into the fire. You can trust me. I'm not going to give you any, I'm not going to mislead you. You know, I'm a lawman.
In a direct appeal, Eubank Sr. pleaded with both Conor and Nigel Benn to reconsider the fight. He highlighted the potential dangers, stating that his son at 33 years old would be risking his life by dropping below 160 lbs. Despite his concerns and even offering to cover a financial penalty to cancel the bout, Nigel Benn insisted that the fight proceed as planned. Eubank Sr. has also criticized the promoters involved, accusing them of prioritizing financial gain over fighter safety. He has been outspoken about the irresponsibility of arranging such a bout under potentially hazardous conditions. He advocates for both fighters to pursue paths more aligned with their natural weight classes. Specifically, Eubank suggests that Conor Benn should concentrate on the welterweight division, targeting reigning champions within that category to advance his career appropriately. In light of these concerns, Eubank even proposed an alternative matchup, a fight between Conor Benn and his nephew Harlem Eubank, who competes at welterweight and maintains an unblemished record, recently showcased his prowess by defeating Tyrone McKenna via round, securing the IBF Intercontinental Welterweight title. Following this victory, Harlem publicly called out Conor Benn, expressing his desire for a bout that he believes would be both competitive and compelling.
My concern for Eubank is the amount of weight this boy's got to cut to come down to, I think the fight's made at 160 pounds, is that right? Right. So he's got to come down from 100, from whatever his walking round weight is. Let's say he walks around at 180 pound when he's out of training. That's like 20 pound weight difference, right? That he's got to lose. It's not safe. It's not. He can't possibly be at his physically strongest. He can't, and he's really putting himself on the line, right? Because when your weight weakened, I know I've been weight drained in fights previously, so I'm speaking from a point of reference. When you're weight drained, it doesn't matter what you eat on the day, it doesn't make you stronger.
The dynamics within the Eubank family have also been brought into the spotlight. Eubank Jr. has expressed a desire to have his father in his corner for the fight, emphasizing the personal significance of continuing the family rivalry. However, Eubank Sr.'s public opposition and concerns about the fight's safety have led to tensions, with reports indicating a degree of estrangement between father and son. In a candid interview in June 2023, Former world champion boxer Chris Eubank expressed profound disappointment regarding his son, Chris Eubank Jr.'s career decisions and training regimen. Central to his concerns was Eubank Jr.'s perceived disregard for paternal guidance and professional advice. Eubank highlighted a conversation with former heavyweight champion David Haye, who informed him that Eubank Jr. had ceased sparring in preparation for fights and was surrounded by individuals who did not challenge his decisions. Eubank Sr. remarked, "David Haye called me the other day and said Jr. doesn't spar. He does everything that he wants to do."
You lost to a fighter called Billy Saunders. You shouldn't have lost that fight. You lost it because you were disobedient to the plan that I gave you. You started fighting after the 6th round to prove to me that you could beat him at any time. I expressly put down in solid words, you are not fighting Billy Saunders, you are fighting the promoter. And you will not beat the promoter. As they say, you'd have to knock him out to get a draw. That's the humor they use, that's the influence of the promoters. And you gave him the first 6 rounds. You know, as far as I'm concerned, the fight belongs to Harlem the Gold Eubank, and you should be fighting Billy Joe Saunders and record a win over him, which you should have in the first instance. What more can I say?
He has men around him. This perceived insolence and refusal to heed advice culminated in Eubank Jr.'s unexpected defeat by Liam Smith. Earlier that year, Eubank Sr. attributed this loss to arrogance, stating, "It is arrogance when you shut your ears, and what arrogance gets you is what it got him in his last fight." The strained relationship between father and son became evident when Eubank Jr. replaced his father with Roy Jones Jr. as his trainer. Eubank lamented this separation, emphasizing that his son's potential was hindered by an unwillingness to listen. "My son could have been a tremendous fighter, but he hasn't, because he doesn't listen." Furthermore, Eubank Sr. acknowledged the characterization of his son as a charlatan, suggesting that without his guidance, Eubank Jr. would not have achieved the financial success he enjoyed. He claimed responsibility for securing lucrative fights for his son, noting, "Without me, you can't make the money that he's made." Eubank Jr. has recently shed light on the strained relationship with his father, former world champion Chris Eubank Sr., attributing the rift to professional disagreements, personal tragedies, and his own pursuit of independence. Eubank Jr. expressed frustration over his father's lack of support, stating, "We don't talk. He has shown no interest in my career for a long period of time now. He's shown no interest in me in a long period of time." The deterioration in their relationship was further exacerbated by the tragic passing of Eubank Jr. Idigi's brother Sebastian in 2021. This loss deeply affected the family, and Eubank Jr. acknowledged that it significantly impacted his father's well-being. He noted he's gone through a lot over the last few years, and he's still dealing with his demons. Despite these challenges, Eubank Jr. expressed a desire to reconcile, especially in light of the upcoming bout with Benn. He remarked on the significance of their father's rivalry and the importance of paternal support, stating, "His son is going to fight the son of his arch nemesis. How is it a thing that he may not be there?"
It got to a stage where I needed to step out of the shadow completely. It's a big shadow.
It is.
He's also in a big shadow.
You both are.
Mine's a blessing, though.
Mine was a blessing too, but it got to a stage where I realized I have to separate myself from this huge character that's always next to me. He's different. His father kind of let him do his own thing and kind of, you know, jump in and sink or swim. My old man was always next to me. And it got to a stage where I decided that I needed to walk my own path. He was not happy with that decision. That's the start of it. Then you have the situation with my brother passing away. That affected him in a deep way, affected all of us.
I talked to him around that time, and I could tell he was profoundly impacted by that.
That's right. Mental health is a real thing. That incident, coupled with the fact that we were already not seeing eye to eye, destroyed a large part of the relationship. And it still hasn't seemed to have recovered, unfortunately.
Have you made any attempt to get back together with him?
Of course.
Has he rebuffed that?
No. No, he hasn't.
So what's stopping you, would you say?
What's stopping what?
What's stopping you getting back to talking again?
He needs to be able to get over whatever demons he's fighting. Now, this fight, it's either gonna enable him to get over those demons, or unfortunately it's gonna make those demons grow. I don't know. I still hope he's there on the night, just like his old man will be.
Do you think he will be?
I honestly don't know. You know, I hope and I pray that he is. And I will do things to try and get him there. But if he isn't, guess what? I'm still going to go out there and do the job.
The tragic passing of Eubank Jr.'s brother, Sebastian, in 2021 further strained their relationship. Eubank Jr. noted the irony of his father's distance, remarking, "As somebody who's lost a son, I think that's a pretty insane thing to be doing. An insane way to be acting to kind of not be speaking to your remaining kids." Eubank Jr. also emphasized his need to establish his own identity separate from his father's influence. Hess stated, "I felt it wasn't working, and as my own man, I had learned enough and done enough in the game to do my own thing." In preparation for his upcoming bout against Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr. has made significant changes to his training regimen. Previously, under the guidance of boxing legend Roy Jones Jr., Eubank Jr. has opted to lead his own training camp for this fight. This decision stems from concerns about potential conflicts between Jones Jr. and his father, Chris Eubank Sr., who was invited to take on an advisory role but has since maintained his distance due to his opposition to the fight. Roy Jones Jr. has voiced apprehensions regarding Eubank Jr.'s approach to the fight, particularly his perceived underestimation of Benn's punching power. Jones emphasized that Benn, despite moving up in weight, possesses significant knockout potential. He advised Eubank Jr. to remain cautious and not to underestimate Benn's capabilities.
Let Conor go and have his illustrious career here in the United Kingdom and then in the United States, because he beats them all. That's how fantastic I think he is. I've always backed you, Conor. I've always backed you. Okay? You're sensible. If it's true that you've said things about me which are not complimentary, I don't mind that. I'm looking at the people that you're around. Here it is. You know the spirit world. That's how I know you're an honest man. The people around you are part of a gang. It's a team thing. You're the mark. Okay? The only person who's going to look out for you is you. Supposed to be your dad. And people like me. You can trust me. Yeah, you've seen me get up in a fight I can't win and walk back into the fire. You can trust me. I'm not going to give you any... I'm not going to mislead you. You know? I'm a lawman.
What do you think about Chris Eubank Sr.'s unwavering support for his son ahead of this epic clash? Do you think the father's presence will give Eubank Jr. the edge, or is there more to this story? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.